Hey, it's your boy King Churro. I'm on my way to work right now. If you've watched my video in regards to me basically saying stop politicizing the tragedy, thank you for watching it. This is basically a part 2.
I like to introduce myself. My name is
King
Churro.
I've been going through TikToks and, trying to find other footage of what went on, just out of my own curiosity. And I'm seeing people, not only are they politicizing it, but they're, adding stuff in there that had nothing to do with what's going on.
Wait. You're telling me that we're comfortable telling women what they can and cannot do with their bodies in this country. But it's harder to get a driver's license than it is to own an automatic weapon in America.
Do you have an opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad.
I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far to say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us why.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed.
I also think there's a repression of black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And
my daughter, who's in 4th grade, has more gun lockdown procedures every year than any other procedure.
So I have a fair question. Your daughter's dad, where does he reside? Where is he?
She could tell me step by step what she would do if a shooter were to enter her school.
Dad and daughter goals. Teach them to defend themselves and fight.
Get that target. Come on. Get it. Keep shooting. Pull that trigger. Pull that trigger. Get that trigger. Squeeze the trigger. Squeeze it.
Incredibly detail-oriented. The girl can't even remember my phone number most of the time.
Here's a fair question, though. Can you remember other people's phone numbers if it weren't for your cell phone? I ask that because, I always say this. Back in the 90s when I was in high school, I had a small little notebook with everybody's phone number in it. Now, I have my cell phone, and without the cell phone, I can't remember a person's number. The only person's number I can remember is my wife's, but it's because the area code and the first 3 numbers are the same, and then it's the last 4 numbers that are different.
That's ingrained trauma that we are putting on the backs of our children because we don't want to make people go through a background check to own an automatic weapon.
So again, automatic weapons have been banned in the United States. Background checks for what? So we're going to make criminals take background checks. Think about that for a minute. Why are we going to make criminals do background checks? Obviously, criminals aren't going to go through the background check because in your case, they won't get the automatic weapon that they want. Why is this even an argument? It's just so stupid. It's like common sense. Obviously, they're not going to go through the background check. Obviously, third grade. The dude was 18 years old. He worked at Wendy's. One report said, the other report said he no longer worked at Wendy's because he was unemployed. Somehow he bought 2 assault rifles, AR-15s. First of all, okay, I don't know where these people get these facts from, right? An AR-15 is made by Colt. Any other company does not make an AR-15. So let's get that straight first. Man, why do I even have to say all this? Instead of y'all doing your research, y'all want to talk about assault rifles, automatic guns, automatic rifles, AR-15s. Do your fucking research, guys. Any other model name would be a different name. I'm sorry. I mean, I make $16 an hour. I work 40 hours a week. And I'm still not able to set aside the money to buy an assault rifle and thousands of rounds of SR-22 bullets. Riddle me that, Batman.
But we're still willing to tell women what they can and cannot do with their own bodies. Okay.
Automatic weapons are banned in America. How the hell is it easy to get an automatic weapon? Oh, you know why? Because criminals get automatic weapons on the street. There are no background checks on automatic weapons you buy from the back of someone's trunk. Criminals don't do background checks. But you want to push your narrative, your false narrative, that's up to you. Yeah. I don't get it.
I've already lost a bunch of followers tonight. I've had to block a bunch of followers, and I don't care. If you don't believe that kids deserve to go to school without the fear of being murdered in their classroom, please block me.
But I agree.
If you believe having guns is more important than children living their lives, please block me.
But I agree.
If you think I'm politicizing the issue by bringing up the GOP and the NRA and what they're doing to block gun reform, please block me.
But you are.
If what I've said so far is pissing you off and you're going to come into my comments and say, I thought the left was supposed to be tolerant, please block me. I'm not interested in hearing other opinions at this point. 18 children,
actually 19,
are dead. The GOP believes that embryos deserve more rights than women, than living children.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a man, I don't have a uterus. Doesn't an embryo turn into a child?
It's science, people! Science!
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
I'm exhausted, I'm angry, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed of our country. And honestly, arguing with people who don't see the actual issues at hand here isn't helping anyone. We have actual work to get done.
This right here is a high supply hybrid. It's actually lemon meringue kush.
Every day you wake up, you got a decision to make. To go right or left, up or down, right or wrong. At the end of the day, you make the decision. Nobody forces you. So make the right decision. Make moves, set the goal. Stop making excuses, man. And if it look like a duck, walk like a duck, and sound like a duck, it's a duck. Stop guessing. Just do the right thing. You heard? You hear me? I love y'all. Stay positive. Love one another.
All right.
I want to address something here. And first, I want to make sure it's clear that I'm only pointing certain aspects out for a reason. On April 12th, a black man opened fire on a New York subway. This was Joe Biden's response. Jill and I are praying for those injured in the New York City subway shooting. We are grateful for the first responders and civilians who jumped into action. My team has been in touch with city officials and we are working to support efforts on the ground. Remember that. On May 14th, an obvious and self-proclaimed white supremacist opened fire at a grocery store. This was Joe Biden's response. Jill and I pray for the victims, their families, and devastated community from yesterday's mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. Our hearts are heavy once again, but our resolve must not waver. We must work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of this nation. 3 days ago, a 18-year-old Hispanic kid shoots his grandmother and then opens fire, killing dozens of school children. Joe Biden's response. It's just sick that gun manufacturers spent 2 decades aggressively marketing assault weapons, which make them the biggest profits. The idea that an 18-year-old can walk into a store and buy an assault weapon is just wrong. We know common sense gun laws can't and won't prevent every tragedy, but we know they work and have a positive impact. Biden did not address the shooter, his motives, or the weapons on April 12th. Biden did address the shooter's motives on May 14th, but not the weapons. So why is it this time that it's only about the weapons and the access to them? All 3 of these instances were tragedies and none of them should have happened. But guns cannot be the problem only when you want them to be the problem. But if all 3 of those weren't about the guns, then none of them were about the guns. You can get rid of every gun in this country, legal and illegal, and these people will find a way to do what they have to do, or what they believe they have to do. Timothy McVeigh didn't use a gun. The Unabomber didn't use a gun. Sick people are going to do sick things unless you address those issues. Guns don't kill people. Just ask all the armed police officers that were outside the school and didn't do shit.